What's going on, guys? I'm in Monster Hunter World here, and I have a good Insect Glaive build for you with reduced stamina depletion. The Insect Glaive obviously uses a lot more stamina than most builds do. From what I've played, it is the most stamina-intensive weapon that I've played with. So when you're in the air, you use a lot of stamina to evade, to use your attacks. So what I've done is I've looked for a build that will give you basically the same amount of reduced stamina depletion that the Wheelie Leches give you. And if you don't know what those are, they're little bugs that you pick up on the ground. They're like brown or orange colored, and they give you reduced stamina depletion for a little bit of time. But I wanted that as I used my build just in general, and not have to look for one of those or run out of that and not have my build as effective. So what I have here is a build that uses Part Breaker as well. Since you're in the air flying through the monster, you're hitting all of those parts, so this Part Breaker gives you a lot more opportunity to damage those parts. So we'll start off with that. We got Part Breaker level 3, Constitution level 3, which gives you 30% reduced stamina depletion, Stamina Surge level 3, which when you hit the ground and your stamina runs back up, it takes like a couple seconds, so that's really useful. Item Prolonger, that is a personal preference. You can swap the jewels out for that when I get to the jewels that I'm using. Speed Sharpening, because that is super useful for anything that uses sharpening. Attack Boost, that's a byproduct of the boots that I'm using, which the boots that I'm currently using are the Dober boots. And you can swap those out. I just used them because they kind of went with the overall theme of the armor that I'm wearing. Blight Resistance, again, that's a byproduct of the Xeno'jiiva Coil Weakness Exploit, because Affinity is amazing for criticals. Airborne, which is probably one of the most useful jewels that you can use with an Insect Glaive, since most of your attacks are done in the air. And Mushromancer, again, that's a byproduct, but it is useful to bring the blue, what are they, the blue mushrooms? They give you a little bit of health. So the armor I'm using, again, is the Xeno'jiiva Spine Beta, the Nergigante Mail, the Dober Vambraces, and the Dober Greaves. Originally, I was using, for my headpiece, the... where is it? So many things here. The Kadachi helm, which gave you 2 Constitution. But I traded that out for the new Devil Joe helm beta, which gives you Part Breaker instead, which I traded that out because I got an extra 2 gem slots and it worked a lot better for me. So we'll go into the decorations. We have a Tenderizer Jewel, a Destroyer Jewel. Those are both on the Freeze Glaive that I'm using. Again, you know, it depends on what weapon you're using, so those can be swapped out. You'll lose 1 level of those, but it's probably the least deprimentive thing that you can do with the build to get rid of jewels. So we have another Tenderizer Jewel. We have 3 Grinder Jewels on here. The Flight Jewel, and Enduring Jewels. Again, you can swap the Enduring Jewels out for whatever you want. Here's my other Destroyer Jewel. You can put something in there that might be more useful to what you're using, but this is just my personal preference. The Xeno'jiiva Spine, you can also swap out for, if you want the same item slots for the jewels. The only other 2 that you can use are the new coil for the Devil Joe, but you know, kind of looks weird. And the, where is it? The Uragon coil. But the Uragon coil looks absolutely terrible unless you're using the Uragon Mail or something else that's big. You know, if you don't care about the aesthetics, you can swap it out for those. You'll get the Part Breaker, and you can swap out the jewel for the Part Breaker, which someone might find useful. I like the way the character looks currently. I also set up my color to kind of go with the Xeno'jiiva thing, because you can't change the color on that. And I changed the leg color to match the Nergigante little bits of flare and fur that are on there. Kind of worked out for me. As for your weapon, that's really generally what you want to use. Again, I'm currently using the Ice one but I have a bunch of different ones that I can use to fit any situation that I'm trying to get into. The wrong thing there. You know, I have one that's just a general thing with the Kuliyaku that I can put a elementless jewel on, get some extra damage. I just made this because it looked kind of cool. The water glaive, which is useful for mainly for Anjanath. Catastrophe's Light, which I use when I'm fighting Elder Dragons. The Azure Bolt, which is good for Thunder, has no jewel slots on it. And the Flamin' Cracker, I'm probably butchering the name there, but that's for Fire. So my Kinsects are one for Thunder, one for Dragon, and one for Fire, but they have Blast, Poison, and Paralysis. I swap those out for whatever the monster's weak to. That's just to make it easier on myself. But this build is mainly... It's a pretty versatile build on what you want to do damage-wise. But, yeah, so I will just bring that up here again for you so you can see the skills that I'm using. And if you want a good stamina build, this works for me. This is my main build that I use. I love the Insect Glaive because of the mobility that you get, the evasion that you get. I have tried using... actually, the one thing I didn't point out there was I'm using the stamina charm. I have tried using the rider charm, but I really didn't see that much of a difference for how many times I've mounted the monster, and to me this worked out a lot better for my stamina. That's where I'm getting the constitution from. I didn't point that out, and I'm sorry. But yeah, when you're using stamina, and your stamina is depleting, you don't want to sit there and wait for your stamina to recharge. You don't want to be focused on that on top of getting all your buffs and everything. That's why I use Item Prolonger and try to use your Kinsect to get your buffs. It's just a lot of item management, so that's why I use Item Prolonger. And when your stamina depletion is really low, you can mount a monster and really lay into that monster. You can push back and forth on your thumbstick and not worry about your stamina depleting. You don't have to brace. The monster's just going to run into things and you're just going to be like, I don't care. It's pretty great. If you're playing solo too, it's really good because you can sit on that monster and just go back and forth and not even have to worry about your slash fury. You can just keep going back and forth until the monster goes down itself, and that'll give you a lot more damage when the monster's not actually damaging you, which is useful for tempered monsters especially, since they hit like a truck. You don't want to be... You want as low of an amount of opportunity for that monster to damage you as possible, so it's really useful for getting that damage in, not having to worry about that monster damaging you. But yeah, if you guys like this build and if it works for you, give me a like, and if there's anything I can do to make this build better, put that down in the comments below. I'm going to leave you with some gameplay with this build. Thanks, guys. Alright guys, there again is the build. Those are all the skills that I'm using. I hope you enjoyed that little gameplay showcase of the skills that I'm using. And if you liked it, give me a like, subscribe, and all that YouTube jazz. Have a nice day.